Developing right now on Morning News Now, tragedy in San Diego. This morning, police looking for a motive behind a shooting at a mosque that killed 3 people. The suspects, 2 teenagers who later took their own lives.
It's being investigated as a hate crime at this point. There was definitely hate rhetoric that was involved.
This is something that we have never expected to take place. But at the same time, the religious intolerance and the hate, unfortunately, that exists in our nation is unprecedented.
We'll bring you the latest as the community mourns. Also this morning, standing down, President Trump saying he's called off an attack on Iran planned for today as peace talks with Tehran continue with a, quote, very acceptable deal close at hand. Meanwhile, an unprecedented move by the Justice Department creating a nearly $2 billion fund to compensate those who feel they were targeted by the Biden administration after the president dropped his lawsuit against the IRS. We'll explain. And happening now, the polls are open in 6 critical state primaries, the races we are watching as the Trump effect is put to the test. Plus, path of destruction. This morning, millions in the Midwest bracing for another round of severe storms, while on the West Coast, crews racing to contain fast-moving fires. We are tracking the conditions, including summer-like heat on track to break records. And it's not in your head how your 9 to 5 could actually be causing those awful tension headaches and what you can do for a little relief. It really might be your job.
Vacation?
yeah, right.
Is that the solution? Vacation.
We're going to find out.
All right.
The doctor will help us.
Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thank you for starting your day with us. We are going to begin this morning with that deadly shooting at a mosque and school in San Diego, which has left the local Muslim community in a state of shock and mourning. 3 people were killed when 2 teenage shooters stormed San Diego's largest Islamic center on Monday and opened fire. Police say they responded to the incident within minutes.
In heartbreaking images, adults and children were seen running from the scene, escorted by police. Among the victims was the mosque's security guard, identified by the Islamic Center as Amin Abdullah. The 2 suspects were found dead in a vehicle a few blocks away from the site of the shooting. Police say both are believed to have died from self-inflicted gunshot wounds. Law enforcement identified them as 17-year-old Kane Clark and 18-year-old Caleb Vasquez. Police say they're investigating the shooting as a hate crime. NBC News national correspondent Morgan Chesky has the latest.
Police and SWAT teams responding to the Islamic Center of San Diego to a deadly shooting.
Multiple victims. Shooters are not in custody.
Within 4 minutes, officers arrived on scene and observed immediately what appeared to be deceased victims out in front.
Police with guns drawn approaching the building. Grade school children at a school inside rushed out hand in hand. Officers began going classroom by classroom to secure the building.
They did have to breach doors to get into all of the different rooms. Extremely chaotic.
One of the victims in front of the building, a security guard, seen on the ground lying in a pool of blood. Witnesses describing a confrontation with the gunman.
Supposedly, someone walked up, showed a weapon to the security guard. Security guard pulled his weapon. They started firing.
Police say that security guard prevented an even worse tragedy.
One of the deceased is a security guard that works there, and I think played a pivotal role in assisting from this being much worse.
Police describing the suspects as 2 teenagers, both male, found dead in a vehicle off-site.
The suspects at this point appear to have died from self-inflicted gunshot wounds. There were no officers involved in firing their weapons.
And officers describing another scene 2 blocks away, where the suspects apparently started firing at a landscaper.
There was a landscaper that was doing his work that was shot at, and fortunately was not hit.
The shooters' identities and potential motives yet to be released.
We are considering this a hate crime.
This message from the mayor.
I want to assure our Muslim community that we will do everything it takes to make sure that you can feel safe in this city.
All right, our thanks to Morgan for that report. Well, let's get more on the police response and investigation with NBC News law enforcement analyst Jim Kavanaugh. Jim, always good to have you with us. So the police say the initial moment of concern here, it was not actually when the active shooter call came in, but it was a call before the attack from the mother of one of the suspects, telling police that she was afraid that her 17-year-old son was suicidal and saying multiple firearms were missing from their house, that her car wasn't at home. Walk us through the importance of that call in the police's initial search and how that may have impacted their response to the shooting.
Well, it's critical that she made the call, the mom made the call, and San Diego PD tried to locate them. They went to the high school where one of them attended. They went to a location near a mall where the license plate reader picked up the car. They were all hands on deck in San Diego trying to locate these kids when the report comes in of an active shooter at the mosque, Savannah. So they were doing what they were trying to do. But you have a person who you think is suicidal who has access to firearms. That's where we begin a problem. A juvenile, two juveniles, 17 and 19. And, it appears they're maybe inculcated with just hate, probably on the web, deeply on the web, hating Muslims and probably a whole lot of other people. But I think the critical thing that in Morgan's report that we heard this morning that wasn't clear yesterday from the witness that you just ran was the security guard drew his weapon to repel these two craven coward attackers. So he drew his weapon. Now, did he get a chance to fire? Did he wound one or both? And then they had to run away. So pretty clearly that the security guard is a hero, was in the breach, and maybe these other two persons who were killed were helping the security guard, also standing in the breach, and they repel the attack by these poltroons. I mean, cowards all the way. So that's we need more facts. Were they shot? What are the guns? And who, if anyone, was egging these guys on?
Jim, you mentioned that this is being investigated as a hate crime. Law enforcement officials say investigators are looking at possible anti-Islamic writings in the suspect's car. How does that impact the investigation moving forward? And are you surprised at the age of the suspects?
No, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, the internet is a cesspool of hate, and young people are on it all the time. And I've worked many attacks on houses of worship, synagogues, mosques, Islamic centers, Christian churches, from any and all kind of attackers, bombs, fire bombs, shootings, over the years. And churches are a center of community. They're gathering places. They're seen as, places of influence in the community, places of power, places of goodness. And the guys that want to attack them, they want to do it for evil, whether they're, neo-Nazis or devil worshippers or, just influenced by the wars in the Middle East, which we seen recent attack in Michigan on the synagogue because the man's family was killed in Lebanon by an Israeli strike. So there's a lot of influences. They're going to find a lot of answers. But the bottom line is, if you know somebody's suicidal, call early. Don't let them have access to guns. And if you know somebody that's wrapped up in hate, I guarantee you the hate is going to destroy them too. They'll destroy others, but their hate will destroy themselves. It always happens.
All right, Jim Kavanaugh, thanks as always for being with us.
A day after threatening Iran, writing that there won't be anything left of them, President Trump is backing off. He called off an attack plan for today, once again claiming a deal to end the war is very close.
I was asked by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and some others if we could put it off for 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting very close to making a deal.
Despite President Trump's repeated assurances, talks over a deal that would end the conflict and reopen that critical Strait of Hormuz appeared to have stalled in recent weeks. Over the weekend, President Trump posted on Truth Social that Iran had, quote, better get moving fast. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry said Tehran was not intimidated by his threats.
NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor joins us from Washington with more on this. Sahil, good morning. So we've seen President Trump repeatedly tout being close to a deal in recent weeks, but it does appear little progress has actually been made. Tell us more about what the president says was behind this decision and where we think things stand this morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. The details here are all a little bit murky, but here's what we know based on what President Trump is saying and what the Iranians are saying. The president said he was asked by U.S. allies, including the leaders of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, to hold off on the strikes because they think an acceptable deal will be made, one that, in Trump's words, effectively ends Iran's nuclear ambitions. Therefore, he said he's calling it off, but he maintained that the U.S. military will be ready to attack at a moment's notice if a deal is not made and if he changes his mind. He also told reporters, Trump did, quote, "I put it off for a little while, hopefully maybe forever," end quote, while they negotiate an agreement. Now, as you mentioned, this is part of a pattern. President Trump, he talks tough, he issues threats, sometimes he imposes deadlines, and then he backpedals just ahead of that deadline, setting negotiations that may or may not come to fruition. Iran, for its part, said it's not intimidated by U.S. threats, but it did say the process of talks was ongoing and that the concerns have been conveyed to the American side. Note the use of passive voice here, which emphasizes just how much the U.S. and Iran seem to be relying on these intermediaries to try to get something done here. And of course, we all know that the biggest advantage that Iran has is their asymmetric ability to prevent free passage of cargo and ships through the Strait of Hormuz. This is an advantage that they seem extremely reluctant to give up, as reluctant as President Trump in the United States is eager to reopen the strait.
Sahil, as the war continues, we're learning a lot of Americans are not happy with this choice to confront Iran. We have a new poll here. It's from the New York Times. Siena poll found that most voters think President Trump made the wrong decision going to war with Iran. What else did we learn here?
Yeah, this poll is full of flashing red warning signs for President Trump and his party ahead of the midterm elections. You have to start with the fact that Donald Trump was elected in 2024 primarily to bring down costs and to avoid new wars. That is what he campaigned on. And just objectively, the opposite has happened. And voters are giving him low marks for it. Take a look at some of these numbers here. President Trump's approval rating in this high-quality poll, which is well-trusted, it pointed to a lot of the warning signs for President Biden and the Democrats ahead of the 2024 election. 37% approval rating for Trump. On the economy, which used to be his strongest issue, 33%. He's deep underwater. He's underwater on the war with Iran, 31%. The cost of living, again, the single biggest issue that got him elected, he's at 28%. 42 points underwater. The GOP is going to have a bad election in November if these numbers persist, guys. And that's why Republicans are eager to end this war, to reopen the strait, for gas prices to come down. They need President Trump's numbers on the economy to go up. Otherwise, they could be looking at a blue wave.
Sahil, let's shift gears to Capitol Hill. Your beat, the administrator of the FAA, set to testify before a Senate subcommittee today, and at issue is the agency's failures in that fatal collision between a military helicopter and a commercial jet. Happened at D.C.'s Reagan National back in 2025. What can we expect there?
We can expect the FAA Administrator Brian Bedford to tell Congress today that the agency failed to act on warnings before that fatal collision about 16 months ago at DCA, which left 67 people dead. Brian Bedford expects to tell the Senate Commerce Subcommittee in prepared testimony, quote, "Our airspace system was providing warning signals prior to that tragic evening. The issue was not a lack of data. It was a failure to translate that data into action." He will say that that gap is what the FAA is urgently closing now, guys.
All right. Sahil, thank you so much.
Well, as part of a settlement lawsuit brought against the government by President Trump, the Justice Department announced it is creating a nearly $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. Its goal is to compensate allies of the president who feel they may have been unjustly investigated and prosecuted by the federal government. It comes in exchange for President Trump dropping a $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS over his leaked tax returns.
The DOJ says the president would walk away from that lawsuit and other claims of damage in exchange for creating this new fund. Officials say it would set up a, quote, systematic process to hear and redress claims of others who suffered weaponization and lawfare. Government watchdog groups and Democrats are calling it corrupt and unconstitutional.
NBC News senior justice reporter Ryan Riley joins us now on this with more. Ryan, good morning. So this was created ahead of court deadlines this week in that IRS case, and it would have required the Trump administration to explain whether there was an actual case to be heard. Unusual here because the president controls the DOJ. Walk us through what the president claims in this lawsuit and how it led to this, to the Justice Department creating this fund.
Yeah, so this all dates back to the leak of some of the information regarding his tax returns. But, that's obviously a huge, massive sum to talk about a $10 million lawsuit. And, you would question how that would actually play out in court. That seems like an insurmountable amount for them to possibly get to if this were to play out, through normal means. But obviously, you had the president as the head of the executive branch on the defense side of the table, and you also had him on the plaintiff side of the table. So it's a very odd situation here. And the judge had some questions about that. In this case, the Justice Department never responded to the lawsuit, right? So because they moved to dismiss this case, the plaintiffs moved to dismiss this case before the defense, meaning the Justice Department had really responded. The judge had to dismiss the case last night because there was not really, a case to be had. The courts are all about conflict, right? And whether or not there's actually two sides to the issue. And what the judge was exploring here and brought in outside experts to review is there actually a controversy here? And all the outside experts said that there were questions that she could continue to ask about whether or not there actually was a controversy.
So, Ryan, to be specific here, the amount for the fund is actually $1.776 billion. There's some symbolism there, of course. 1776 is the year the U.S. gained its independence. So this raises a lot of questions here. Who determines who's going to be eligible to be compensated, who's paying for it, and ultimately, does it appear to be legal?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't just land on that sum. You're exactly right. That was, that's the symbolic amount. What this money is going to do if this all goes through, and there's a lot of legal efforts to try to stop this from happening in the first place. I think we can expect some lawsuits certainly in the future. It's unclear how successful those will be, but I think there'll also be some political pushback to that. You have seen Democrats and some Republicans raise objections to this because a lot of this would be behind the scenes. So instead of playing out in open court where there'd actually be, a conflict and you would have lawyers ideally representing the interests of taxpayers, what this will do instead is sort of bring this behind the scenes. It will all be decided by this panel of 5 people who are appointed by the Attorney General and can be fired at whim by the president whenever he wants, according to the way this is set up. So it sort of sets up this idea that a lot of this could be happening behind the scenes. I think you're going to see a lot of this pushback. Expect lawsuits in the future. I don't think this issue is just going to instantly go away.
Ryan, also Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche issued this memo establishing the fund. What he says here is the quote, machinery of government should never be weaponized against any American, and that the DOJ is looking to make right the wrongs that were previously done. How are Democrats responding to this?
Yeah, there has been a lot of pushback. What's also interesting here is that there had been some questions within the January 6th community about whether or not Todd Blanche sort of was supportive of this taxpayer payouts for January 6th defendants. And, the memo itself doesn't explicitly mention January 6th, but this is certainly where this all could be headed. I think you're just going to see continued pushback from Democrats and questions about who that money is going to go to. Remember, there's someone sitting in in state prison in Florida who thought that they were going to get this payout and actually bribed child victims of their sexual abuse because they were with potential payouts from this expected fund. So a lot of these January 6th rioters have gone on to commit all sorts of different crimes, including, molesting children, in which they're now spending the rest of their lives behind bars for. So I think you're going to continue to see a lot of pushback on these potential payouts, and Democrats sort of doing, I think, whatever they can to sort of stand in the way.
All right, Ryan Riley, thank you so much.
Today is a busy day in politics with voters heading to the polls for primaries across 6 states.
Yeah, voters will cast ballots in Alabama, Georgia, Idaho, Kentucky, Oregon, and Pennsylvania. The winners of these races will advance to the general election, which will take place this year on November 3rd. That is 168 days from now.
In case you're counting. For more on what we can expect, let's bring in Carrie Dan, managing editor of the Cook Political Report. Carrie, good to have you with us. So one race we're certainly keeping an eye on today is going to be in the state of Kentucky, its 4th congressional district, the most expensive House primary in history. The incumbent, of course, is the Republican Congressman Thomas Massie. He's looking to win another term. He's publicly clashed with President Trump for years, most notably over the Jeffrey Epstein files. But he is being primaried, so walk us through the race and just the amount of influence the president hopes to have on tonight's outcome.
Right. This race is going to be just the latest data point in how the president has a grip on the Republican Party. We've seen in recent weeks in Indiana, for example, we saw the president successfully primarying lawmakers who disagreed with him on redistricting. Over the weekend, we saw Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, who voted to impeach the president after January 6th, losing his primary. Thomas Massie is the next person in the barrel. He has broken with the president, as you mentioned, on Epstein, on the big, beautiful bill. He's a big critic of the war in Iran. And Trump, by his own admission, said he wanted, quote, a warm body to primary Tom Massie. He found it in Ed Gallurine. Right now, it looks from the polling like Gallurine might have a slight advantage, but this looks like it also could be kind of a close race. And I think the reasoning for that is that Massie has been this kind of lawmaker for the entire time that he's been in Congress. This is not specific to Donald Trump. He has often been the lonely Republican voting against everything from spending bills to measures about anti-Semitism. He is just often a no vote who says, I support what my constituents want. I hate government waste. And he's very well known. He's been in Congress for 14 years, and he has a really strong personal brand. So that's going to be the thing to watch here, is whether that brand can withstand $30 million of spending in this race, and Donald Trump just vehemently lashing him over and over on social media. Even Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth actually campaigned for Massie's opponent. So we'll have to see what happens here. I think you'd rather be Gallurine than Massie for going into this race, but it could be a little tighter than we think.
All right, Carrie, another race President Trump hopes will turn out in his favor. This is Georgia's gubernatorial primary. Let's talk through some of the details here. So he's endorsed Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones in the race to replace Governor Brian Kemp. He's term limited, but this field also includes Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. Our viewers may remember that name. He clashed with President Trump after the 2020 election. When Raffensperger refused to attempt to overturn the results of the presidential race in that state in Mr. Trump's favor. What can we expect here?
Well, I think what we're going to see is this race is almost destined to go to a runoff, both with Burt Jones, who, as you mentioned, has Donald Trump's endorsement. But actually, the candidate coming out on top here is Rick Jackson. He's a billionaire health executive who got into the race quite late and has spent now to the tune of, talking about money in politics, $62 million of his own money to boost himself. He's trying to find kind of a pro-Trump lane, even though he has not been endorsed by the president. Between Jones and Jackson, I think this will go to a runoff. It's unclear which of those candidates may come in first. It may be Jackson, which would be an interesting kind of, not necessarily a rebuke of the president in that Jones is going to go to the runoff and could very well win it in a number of weeks. Brad Raffensperger, who you mentioned, has not really gotten a lot of traction in this race. He does have a loyal following of those people who remember his role in the 2020 primary, but he is not beloved by the MAGA base, to say the very least. So I think we'll see this one go to a runoff with a whole lot of money left to be spent.
Carrie, today's Pennsylvania primary is going to set up the race for governor later this year. Democrat incumbent Josh Shapiro and Trump-backed Republican candidate, the state treasurer, Stacey Garrity, both are unopposed in their primary. So this is really just going to be a test of Shapiro's political strength later this year. Real quick, walk us through it.
Yeah, so this is a race that we have rated as solid Democrat. Josh Shapiro has a gargantuan amount of money in the bank. He has consistently high approval ratings. He's very influential in the Democratic base in the state. Stacey Garrity has sort of failed to gain a whole lot of traction. Things would really have to turn around in the state. Shapiro, I think, is using this time to build his national profile and maybe eye 2028.
Carrie Dan from the Cook Political Report. Good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Great to see you, Carrie.
Programming note, NBC News now will have coverage of today's midterm primaries throughout the day today, and then we have extensive live coverage kicking off tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Well, let's get to weather now. Millions of people are waking up under the threat of severe weather this morning. Kansas and Nebraska were hit with a second night of strong storms that spawned several tornadoes. And it's not just tornadoes that are causing concern. Overnight thunderstorms brought torrential rainfall that caused flash flooding. All of this is as millions of people out west deal with red flag warnings. Fires like the one we're showing you right now are burning in California and spreading quickly, forcing people to evacuate their homes. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin is there in California. She has the latest.
Dangerous wildfires raging in the west. Thick plumes of smoke from Colorado to California, turning skies dark. The Sandy Fire roaring through a residential neighborhood an hour outside of Los Angeles. Evacuation warnings issued as flames rapidly spread. You can still see flames coming from this burned down home. Firefighters are sending water onto the property to try to prevent embers from being carried to other parts of the neighborhood. Neighbors shaken by how close the flames got.
They saved our home. Thank God. The Lord just put his hand of protection over our property.
Noelle Hankinson says she rushed to pick up her 13-year-old son from school. The smoke close by.
I wanted to get here and get him, so scared about, the flames moving this way.
In Colorado, firefighters racing to put out this wildfire. Crews tackling the flames from above. This charred building still smoldering. Meanwhile, menacing funnel clouds tearing through America's heartland after a weekend of severe weather.
Wow. Oh my God.
This twister ripping through a field in Nebraska.
Breaking, roping, breaking.
Debris flying through the air as a funnel cloud forms. The damage in St. Paul, devastating, tearing these homes from their foundations, leaving behind crumpled cars. On the East Coast, sweltering temperatures setting in. An extreme start to the week being felt coast to coast.
All right, our thanks to Dana Griffin for that report.
And we got more now on the potential for severe weather all across the country. So let's get a closer look with your morning News Now weather.
Al Roker joins us this morning. Al, good morning.
All right, thanks so much. We are looking at a whole lot of different kinds of weather all across the map. Heavy showers and thunderstorms right now between Kansas City, St. Louis. Probably going to see some airport delays later today. And in fact, we've got 53 million people at risk, stretching from Del Rio, Texas, all the way to Syracuse, New York. Wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour, damaging winds. If there is any good news, it's that the tornado risk is low. However, we will be seeing rounds of rain, and so especially throughout parts of Texas, from Del Rio, Houston. Then we move on into parts of Louisiana, Mississippi. We could be looking at anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain or more. Plus, here in the Northeast, only the second time since 2006 where we've seen heat advisories this early in New York City. 32 million people stretching from Philly to Boston. Temperatures are going to be awfully warm. In fact, through tomorrow, we've got records from Bangor, Maine, Charlottesville, Athens, Ohio. Look down to Johnson City and Lynchburg. We are looking at these temperatures. We could see records today for Bluefield, for Charlottesville at 97 degrees. Norfolk, 95, comes awfully close to their record. Knoxville could come close to that record of 93 degrees. Here in the Northeast, Syracuse, you may break a record. Newark, New Jersey, coming awfully close at 97. Columbus, Ohio, 90 degrees. That's, again, going to be chilly. Now let's go to the Rockies. We've got frost and freeze warnings up. Frost advisories, freeze warnings from Bismarck down to North Platte, Casper, Wyoming, Pocatello, Idaho. You may see those awfully chilly temperatures. Look at them right now. Temperatures in the low 20s to mid 30s. So temperatures awfully cool out there. And then in Los Angeles, where we've got some wildfires going, the wind forecast into this afternoon, 15 to 25 miles per hour out of the northeast, spreading smoke across a good portion of that region. They may be looking at air quality alerts later on today. And that is your latest weather. Back to you.
All right, Al, thank you so much. Well, this morning, hundreds of thousands of New York City-bound commuters are breathing a sigh of relief. That is because the Long Island Railroad strike has been settled after the MTA and representatives from 5 unions reached a new agreement overnight. Union members will still have to ratify that deal. Governor Kathy Hochul announced the deal last night, saying that it provides raises for workers while protecting riders and taxpayers. It comes just 3 days into the labor strike that shut down the nation's busiest commuter rail system. However, the system will not be back at full capacity until this afternoon. Well, a California jury has officially tossed out Elon Musk's federal civil lawsuit against OpenAI and its CEO, Sam Altman. That decision closes the book on a blockbuster trial that captivated the tech industry over the past 3 weeks. Musk had accused Altman of misleading investors like himself. He claimed that Altman violated a founding agreement of OpenAI to make it a for-profit company. Both men were co-founders of OpenAI. Now, the jury's verdict found that OpenAI, Altman, and co-founder Greg Brockman are not liable on all the claims. This is because Musk did not file the lawsuit before the statute of limitations deadline. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas is here with more on this. Danny, good morning. Okay, so let's just start right there because I think people might find it a little confusing. I certainly do. Why did we even get this far if you didn't file it before that deadline? What was that about? Why did we just discover that, land on that reasoning now after we've heard heard this entire trial unfold.
The statute of limitations is based on the idea that after a certain point, witnesses disappear, evidence gets stale. So what legislatures do is they pick an arbitrary date. And it varies from state to state. In this case, you'll say 3 years from the time of the incident. Now, oftentimes the incident is very easy to define. You have a motor vehicle accident. Oh, that's a crash. It happened on such and such a date. Well, Elon Musk in this case argued, as often people do when they're trying to avoid the SOL, the statute of limitations, that this was a continuing harm, that this deception or whatever it was went on such that every day it went on, it sort of reset the statute of limitations. Well, the jury didn't buy it. They said that this is something that occurred in 2019. The statute of limitations has long since passed, 3 years. So you are out of luck, plaintiffs. That's why SOL, statute of limitations, is also an acronym for something else, which I won't say on air, but you can figure it out. So
you said it, though.
They are out of luck.
I was thinking it, so thank you for pointing that out.
Out of luck, and that is what it means. And normally it's a major mistake by the attorneys to do that, but they had a fair enough argument. It's just that the jury didn't buy it.
Okay. Remind us what could have been at stake in this case.
Billions of dollars, maybe one of the biggest decisions or verdicts in American history. Huge money at stake here. And also we had a very interesting procedural thing here. We had what's called an advisory jury. Never had one of these. They're very rare, but it was because this was a claim for what's called an equitable trust. And you don't have a constitutional right to a jury trial for certain kinds of claims. So in this case, it's something in theory the judge could have heard. The judge just said, I want essentially a focus group to hear this, and she adopted all of their findings.
Musk says he plans to appeal this. What do you think the chances are there?
Well, their main argument is obviously going to be, look, the statute of limitations was not violated because this was a continuing harm. And in addition, the defendants here strung us along. And sometimes you can essentially pause the statute of limitations if you're being deceived about an incident. You see this a lot in medical malpractice cases. Well, somebody left a spoon in my body. Well, I had no idea until 10 years later when an X-ray found it. That might be an example of pausing the statute of limitations if the plaintiff has been deceived about the fact that something wrong was done to them. So those will be their arguments. It's going to be an uphill battle on appeal, though.
All right. Danny Savalos, thank you so much. Great to see you. We've got much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, a new partnership between President Trump and a former foe, business mogul Mark Cuban. We'll tell you about the expanded effort to lower the cost of prescription drugs for Americans. Up first, though, after the break, growing concerns about a global Ebola outbreak after an American tests positive. What we know is next. Stay with us. We are back with a look at multiple deadly disease outbreaks impacting Americans around the world. In the latest development on Monday, the CDC announced that a U.S. citizen has tested positive for Ebola. This is as we get a new look at the race to sanitize that cruise ship at the center of the hantavirus outbreak. Here's NBC's Maggie Vespa.
The American doctor Peter Stafford testing positive for Ebola in Africa, according to the medical missionary group Surge, with the CDC confirming an American was exposed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The agency now working with the State Department to move the patient to Germany for specialized treatment, along with 6 other exposed Americans.
How urgent is it to get this American to a place like Germany that can give them proper care?
I think it's very urgent. You can dramatically improve the survival rate.
Health officials stress risk within the U.S. remains low. Ebola is primarily transmitted through direct contact with bodily fluids. Meanwhile, stunning new images from the cruise ship at the center of the deadly hantavirus outbreak. Teams in full hazmat suits seen here removing bins, suitcases, even a mattress. The 27 crew and medical staff on board disembarking to begin a strict 6-week incubation period. Health officials say none are symptomatic, but in Canada, another passenger testing positive.
Clearly, this is not what we hoped for, but it is what we planned for.
Health officials say the patient is in their 70s and was traveling with a partner who's testing negative. Both are now isolating in a hospital. Back home, 18 Americans remain isolated and asymptomatic at the National Quarantine Unit in Omaha. As health officials scramble to contain both outbreaks, Dr. Ashish Jha, who served as the Biden administration's COVID response coordinator, warning tonight.
What we've seen both with hantavirus and Ebola is a CDC that's responding far more slowly, and the world is really missing that leadership that usually comes from the CDC.
Now, our thanks to Maggie Vespa for that story. Well, yesterday, the Trump administration announced it's adding additional screening measures and restricting people who don't have U.S. passports from entering the country if they have been to Congo, Uganda, or South Sudan in the past 3 weeks. Well, let's stay with the overseas news. On the first day of the war with Iran, tragedy struck the southern Iranian city of Manab. More than 150 people, including 120 children, were killed when a U.S. airstrike destroyed an elementary school. Well, a preliminary U.S. military investigation determined that the U.S. was responsible, but the Trump administration has not yet formally accepted that finding. They say it's still under investigation. Our international partner, Sky News, was the first foreign news outlet to travel to Manab. Its international affairs editor Dominic Waghorn spoke with some of the parents whose children were killed. Here's his report.
Dawn, deep in the south of Iran. We're reaching the end of a 4-day journey, heading for a place now infamous in the story of this war. As we enter the town of Minab, there are reminders everywhere of its terrible tragedy. We've come to the primary school that was hit on the first day of the conflict by precision-guided American missiles. We're the first journalists from outside of Iran to film here since the attack. There are still so many unanswered questions about what happened here. We meet brothers Fazl and Reza, who rushed to help after the missiles came in.
We were faced with an unbelievably horrifying scene. There were pieces of bodies everywhere. Hands, heads, a child's torso without limbs, all burned.
Staff of the school had already realised that Iran was under attack that morning and called parents to take their children home. Most of them didn't get here in time. Survivors say that most of the children, the girls on the upper floor of the school, were moved to that end of the building to a prayer room for their safety. When the missiles struck, they killed many children and teachers on impact, but they also tragically collapsed completely that end of the school, trapping and killing many more. 11-year-old Parastesh was on the school's upper floor when the missiles landed. She somehow survived but was badly injured. Her little brother, 9-year-old Ali Askar, was killed. She showed us his toys and his backpack found in the rubble and told us how she raced to help him that morning before a second explosion tore them apart.
اینجوری دستمو میخواستم بذارم رو شونش که بیارم طرف خودم که دومی رو زد ته شد.
Parastesh was found under rubble on the floor below. She was severely burned and spent weeks in hospital recovering. Jawad, their father, told us how proud he'd been of his son.
هم از هوشش بیشترم عاشق فوتبال بود با عاشق مدرسه بود.
Minab has had to extend the town's cemetery to bury all the dead. They come here every night to hold vigil for their children. This is actually quite overwhelming. Child after child, grave after grave, and almost 3 months on, the families still coming every evening to spend hours by their children's graveside. And talking to some of them, of course, is deeply moving. Mohammed Taha should have been celebrating his 10th birthday this night. Instead, his mother Khadija and family are by his grave mourning him. If there is an explanation for this atrocity, we haven't heard it yet. The evidence points to America. Iranians say these are pieces of US-made Tomahawk cruise missiles collected at the site. And we know America attacked several other places nearby that day. Whatever other targets there were in the area, the point to stress is this was a primary school. It had been for more than a decade and was clearly marked on maps. And yet it was struck, it seems, right in the centre of the building by missiles that are accurate within a few metres. It was either deliberately targeted, which would be a war crime, or it was misidentified, potentially equally a breach of the rules of war. Now, after similar incidents in Iraq and Afghanistan, America has admitted responsibility within a few days or at the most a few weeks. All it said for almost 3 months now is this is being investigated. They are stalked here by the spectre of war returning. It's not at all clear to what extent this appalling tragedy is being investigated and what's been learned to make sure nothing like this can happen again if hostilities resume.
Our thanks to Sky's Dominic Waghorn for that report. Coming up on Morning News Now, a shared struggle. More parents expressing concern about their kids' anxiety. We'll look at the problem and what you can do to show support. Your weekly check-in is next. Stay with us. It's time now for our weekly mental health check-in. This week, we are looking at a new study that shows more parents are talking with their kids' doctors about anxiety issues. There's also a new pair of contact lenses being developed that could help treat depression. Joining us this week is Dr. Robbie Ludwig. She's a psychotherapist and host of the Pivot with Robbie Ludwig podcast. Dr. Robbie, always great to have you with us. Good morning. So let's start with this new study. It was just featured in the New York Times, and it shows of nearly 2 million children, there has been a 250% increase in doctors' visits for children's anxiety across the last decade. I mean, that's just such a stunning number. What factors do you think are causing this increase? And do we think that a primary care doctor is the best person to go to if parents have these concerns?
So there are a few factors. We do see that kids are under more stress. There's school stress, there's family stress, there's post-pandemic stress and social media. So those are all factors that are contributing. And also parents are more aware and able to identify when their child is anxious and bring it to the attention of a doctor. There's less stigma surrounding this issue. And as far as going to their primary care doctor, a pediatrician, most likely in this case, it's a great idea because pediatricians have a long-standing relationship with their patients, and they can also rule out if there are any medical issues causing this stress and anxiety, and make a referral if there's, some immediate crisis going on where a child is in danger of self-harm.
All right. Great information there. Okay. Also, you hear a lot of people, kind of like joke about this, like my job is giving me a headache, or really anything else that feels specifically like it may be tied to a headache because of maybe like some tension or if you're carrying stress in a certain way. But if you are stressed at work, this could literally be happening. Tell us about this and how you can manage that stress.
Yeah. So we tend to think of stress as happening within the mind, but it also happens within our bodies. So stress can cause a headache. This is when, stress is in a permanent fight or flight kind of cycle. It can create tension in our jaw. It can create sleep problems. And so there are a lot of issues that impact us physically. And if someone is noticing they are having headaches or stress, it's very important to deliberately take breaks, watch your sleep, drink water. And also you want to be in a position where you can ask yourself, what's the trigger for me? Am I overloaded at work? Am I not taking enough breaks? Are there unclear expectations that are made of me? And try to narrow down what the issue is. And of course, you want to go to a medical doctor also. If headaches continue, you want to rule out that there's nothing medical going on.
All right. Good information there as well. Okay, this one, interesting. I have a lot of questions about this one. Scientists in South Korea, they're developing these experimental contact lenses that could help treat depression, they say, by sending electrical signals to the brain. Let's first just start on how would this work?
Well, they're looking at whether they can send an electric signal to the brain through the retina of the eyes. And that's what these contacts on mice is really about. And it addresses the emotional regulation part of the brain. And so they were testing with mice. Could this help them with their stress levels? They made the mice very stressed, and this limited study seemed to be hopeful. But it's very important to keep in mind that this is not ready for prime time. We are not ready to start wearing contacts that sends electrical signals to the brain, but it is something potentially that could work in the future. I think before trying anything new, it's really important to look at the quality of the study to see how long a study has been studied actually. But I think it's great. You know, the future will offer us a lot of different possibilities. I'm excited to see what happens, but we won't be doing this anytime soon.
All right, Dr. Robbie, really interesting stuff today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, he was a key witness in the O.J. Simpson trial. Former LAPD detective Mark Furman has died. When we come back, a look back at his life and the controversy over his testimony in the so-called trial of the century. And Meta planning another round of mass layoffs as it restructures around AI. Your Money Minute is next on Morning News Now.
Welcome back. Mark Furman, a former Los Angeles police detective and a key figure in the O.J. Simpson murder trial, has died. He was 74. He reportedly passed away after a battle with cancer. NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson takes a look back at his life during and after the so-called trial of the century.
People call Detective Mark Furman.
He was the controversial witness in the O.J. Simpson trial. Mark Furman, then a Los Angeles police detective, discovered the bloody glove at the former football player's home after Simpson's ex-wife Nicole and her friend Ron Goldman were murdered.
Detective Furman, can you tell us how you feel about testifying today?
Nervous. Reluctant.
Simpson's defense team accused Furman of planting evidence, being racist, and using the N-word.
Is it possible that you have forgotten that act on your part?
No, it's not possible.
Are you therefore saying that you have not used that word in the past 10 years, Detective Furman?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
They then played a tape of the detective using the N-word.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime.
Simpson was acquitted and Furman accepted a plea deal for perjury. He served no jail time. Furman retired from the LAPD and moved to Idaho. He wrote books about high-profile crime cases, including the Simpson case. He appeared on Fox News as a crime expert and hosted a radio show in Spokane, Washington. Furman died this month. TMZ reports it was from an aggressive form of throat cancer. Furman was 74. Ann Thompson, NBC News.
Time now for some money news. President Trump is teaming up with an unlikely ally to take on high prescription drug costs.
NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch has your Money Minute. Emily, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. That's right. Mark Cuban, who's been critical of Trump, alongside other leaders, announced the Trump RX prescription drug platform is expanding to offer more than 600 generic medications that they say will be priced to save Americans millions of dollars. The administration is partnering up with Cuban's Cost Plus Drugs online pharmacy, along with Amazon and GoodRx. And last month, we reported on Meta's plans to lay off about 10% of its workforce and cut thousands of open positions. Well, ahead of this move that's expected to take place tomorrow, Reuters is reporting that a note sent to staff yesterday gives more details about the changes, including plans for 7,000 workers to be shifted into roles tied to AI. Meta had said it plans to double AI spending this year. We've reached out to Meta and haven't yet heard back. And a new exclusive report from Bank of America takes a deeper look at how Gen Z is spending. It found that more than 40% of Gen Z say they're living paycheck to paycheck, with nearly 20% saying they spend more than half of their monthly earnings on housing. That's up 13% from last year. At the same time, those in this age range say they are cutting back on spending due to higher prices. 40% say they're spending less on dining out, with 20% shopping at cheaper supermarkets. Though, guys, most of these people, about 90%, said that they are participating in little treat culture. So they are kind of splurging on things here and there, whether that's a coffee or a little gift for themselves during this difficult time.
Little treat culture is very healthy.
Yes,
culture.
I agree. I agree.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for being with us this Tuesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, California horror. Terrifying scenes out of San Diego where police say 3 people were killed after 2 teenage gunmen opened fire at the city's largest mosque. On your screen, heartbreaking images of children rushed to safety in the attack's aftermath. What we're learning about the moments before the violence unfolded as a shaken Southern California community comes together in the wake of tragedy. Also this morning, the devastating split screen of severe weather that's got millions on high alert. Torrential rains, dangerous flooding, and dozens of reported tornadoes slamming America's heartland. Out west, thick plumes of wildfire smoke blanketing communities from California to Colorado. Mother Nature isn't calming down anytime soon. Our Al Roker is standing by with your full forecast. Plus, we have a deal. Commuter chaos off the schedule. That costly Long Island Railroad strike coming to an end overnight. But for hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers, the Tuesday ride to work might still be a little bumpier than usual. We've got the very latest. And later in the hour, we are serving up a hot, fresh slice of nostalgia, turning back the clock with the classic restaurant chains looking to lure in hungry diners with a taste of the past. Does that bring back your Pizza Hut memories?
Pizza. I want some. Yes,
it would be
does.
cold, but I could have brought pizza this morning. So we'll dig into that in a little bit. We do want to begin this hour with that horrific shooting at a mosque in San Diego, leaving that community in a state of shock and mourning.
3 people were killed when 2 teenage gunmen opened fire at San Diego's biggest Islamic center. Police say the suspects were later found dead in a car due to apparent self-inflicted gunshot wounds. Authorities say they are investigating the shooting as a hate crime. NBC News national correspondent Morgan Chesky joins us now from San Diego with the latest. Morgan, good morning.
Yeah, for decades, this very Islamic center had been a pillar to the Muslim community here in San Diego, but today it is still very much an active crime scene. And overnight, we learned from investigators that the mother of one of those teenage gunmen called police hours earlier, trying to warn them before that active shooter call came in. Overnight, the FBI searching a home tied to one of the suspects in the brazen attack on the Islamic Center of San Diego.
This is every community's worst nightmare.
Police confirming 2 teenage gunmen opened fire late Monday morning, killing 3 adults, including the center's security guard.
Initial reports from PDR. Multiple victims.
Authorities converging on the scene minutes after the active shooter call.
We are considering this a hate crime until it's not.
Heartbreaking images of children being escorted out of the mosque.
All the kids, all the staff and the teachers are safe.
After more reports of gunfire blocks away, police finding a vehicle with the bodies of both alleged shooters inside. Identified as 18-year-old Caleb Vasquez and 17-year-old Kane Clark.
We received a call of a runaway juvenile.
San Diego police telling NBC News 17-year-old Clark's mother called police hours earlier, sharing she believed her son was suicidal, left wearing camouflage, and was most likely with a friend. Adding both her car and several firearms were missing, and that he left behind a note. Photos of Clark emerging online, including one reposted by his father, who said it showed Clark in costume as a child. Now, as devastated community members lean on one another for support.
Hate has no home in San Diego. Islamophobia has no home in San Diego.
The Islamic Center identifying the security guard who was fatally shot as Amin Abdullah.
We do believe the security guard was able to help at least minimize the situation. I think it's fair to say his actions were heroic, and undoubtedly he saved lives today.
The community in mourning. Sam Hamida's son is a second grader at the Islamic Center.
I feel for the children having, to go through this emotionally, thinking like, why did this happen?
So many in mourning in this community, and we did learn from investigators that they've already carried out search warrants overnight, will continue to do so in the coming days. A telling piece of evidence that's already been recovered, anti-Islamic writing found in the car containing the bodies of both of those teenage gunmen. Police expected to share more in a press conference that's being held in just a few hours. Savannah, Joe, send it back to you.
Morgan, thank you.
Another major story we are tracking this morning is the severe weather sweeping across the country. A new round of tornadoes and powerful storms is slamming the nation's heartland. This while a record-setting heat is gripping the East Coast and dangerous wildfires have erupted across the West. Al Roker has today's forecast in a moment, but first NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster joins us with the latest from Independence, Missouri. Shaq, good morning.
Good morning. And it was another tough night for folks here in the Midwest. In just the past 24 hours, we've seen more than 300 severe storm reports, the vast majority of them connected to the wind. Wind speeds in this area exceeding 60 miles an hour, knocking out power to tens of thousands across the region who this morning are waking up in the dark.
Overnight, a new round of dangerous storms slamming the Midwest. This menacing funnel cloud spotted ripping through a field in Kansas, while torrential rain flooded roads in Michigan.
Oh my God!
The relentless winds knocking out power to thousands in Indiana. The powerful storms causing ground stops at major airports.
Can't see anything.
This is what I saw pulling up to Chicago's Midway Airport Monday.
Never seen anything like this.
All as the cleanup is underway across the plains.
Sister twisters, baby.
Where at least 50 twisters have been reported over the last 48 hours, leaving a swath of destruction in parts of Iowa and Nebraska. In St. Paul, mangled cars and homes reduced to rubble. While out west, raging fires, thick plumes of smoke shrouding the skies from Colorado to California. The Sandy Fire roaring through a residential neighborhood an hour outside of Los Angeles. More than 29,000 people under evacuation orders, with the blaze threatening thousands of homes.
They saved our home, thank God. The Lord just put his hand of protection over our property.
Across the country, an early blast of summer baking the Northeast.
I got burned to a crisp the other day.
As New York City soars up to the mid-90s, officials now activating heat emergency operations with cooling centers across the city.
And that serious heat coming just in time for some college commencement celebrations. You have some universities warning students and families that are going for those celebrations to make sure they stay hydrated as they're outside for those ceremonies. You have cities like Philly, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. threatening to break some all-time May record high temperatures. Guys?
All right, Shaq, thank you.
We've got more details now on what to expect from the severe weather with your Morning News Now forecast.
Al Roker joins us with that. Al, good morning.
All right, thanks so much. We are looking at a whole lot of different kinds of weather all across the map. Heavy showers and thunderstorms right now between Kansas City, St. Louis. Probably going to see some airport delays later today. And in fact, we've got 53 million people at risk, stretching from Del Rio, Texas, all the way to Syracuse, New York. Wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour, damaging winds. If there is any good news, it's that the tornado risk is low. However, we will be seeing rounds of rain, and so especially throughout parts of Texas, from Del Rio, Houston. Then we move on into parts of Louisiana, Mississippi. We could be looking at anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain or more. Plus, here in the Northeast, only the second time since 2006 where we've seen heat advisories this early in New York City. 32 million people stretching from Philly to Boston. Temperatures are going to be awfully warm. In fact, through tomorrow, we've got records from Bangor, Maine, Charlottesville, Athens, Ohio. Look down to Johnson City and Lynchburg. We are looking at these temperatures. We could see records today for Bluefield, for Charlottesville at 97 degrees. Norfolk, 95, comes awfully close to their record. Knoxville could come close to that record of 93 degrees. Here in the Northeast, Syracuse, you may break a record. Newark, New Jersey, coming awfully close at 97. Columbus, Ohio, 90 degrees. That's, again, going to be chilly. Now let's go to the Rockies. We've got frost and freeze warnings up. Frost advisories, freeze warnings from Bismarck down to North Platte, Casper, Wyoming, Pocatello, Idaho. You may see those awfully chilly temperatures. Look at them right now. Temperatures in the low 20s to mid 30s. So Temperatures awfully cool out there. And then in Los Angeles, where we've got some wildfires going, the wind forecast into this afternoon, 15 to 25 miles per hour out of the northeast, spreading smoke across a good portion of that region. They may be looking at air quality alerts later on today. And that is your latest weather. Back to you.
Right, Al, thank you so much. With less than 6 months to go till the midterm elections, voters are heading to the polls today for primaries across 6 states. But President Trump is pretty focused on one specific race in Kentucky. It is seen as a crucial test of his hold on the Republican Party. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez is at the White House with the details. Gabe, good morning.
Joe, good morning. Congressman Thomas Massie has been a thorn in the president's side for years. And today, the White House hopes to take him down in what's become the most expensive House primary in history.
This morning, President Trump is out for political revenge.
We're in a fight against the worst congressman in the history of our country. His name is Thomas Massie.
Massie's a Republican, but has often criticized the president over the national debt, the Iran war, and the Epstein files.
He's still in with the Epstein class. This is the Epstein administration.
Today's Kentucky House primary now seen as a crucial test of the president's power. In an unusual move for a sitting defense secretary, Pete Hegseth also hitting the campaign trail for Massie's opponent, former Navy SEAL Ed Galrain.
And too often, Thomas Massie has acted like his job is to stand apart from the movement that President Trump leads instead of strengthening it.
With the midterm election less than 6 months away, voters are also heading to the polls today for primaries in 5 other states. Among the issues, war in the Middle East. The president now says he's delayed another attack on Iran.
I was asked by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and some others if we could put it off for 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting very close to making a deal.
President Trump also weighing in on a controversial new move by his Justice Department after the president dropped multiple lawsuits against the federal government, including the IRS, for a leak of his tax returns. In exchange, the DOJ setting up what it calls an anti-weaponization fund, using nearly $1.8 billion of taxpayer money to pay Trump allies who say they were unfairly prosecuted by the Biden administration.
These were people that were weaponized and really treated brutally by a system that was so corrupt.
That potentially includes January 6th rioters, whom the president pardoned. Overnight, the New York Times reporting the top lawyer at the Treasury Department resigned in the wake of the fund's creation.
Even though the DOJ says Trump and his family will not get paid from the fund, Democrats are calling the president's move corrupt, an abuse of power, and a MAGA slush fund. House Democrats are filing a brief seeking to stop the settlement. Joe?
All right, Gabe, thank you.
Well, we are learning more this morning about a new deal that's put an end to the strike that suspended the country's busiest railway.
Yeah, New York's MTA and union representatives say they have come to a deal to end a labor strike that shut down the Long Island Railroad service. Comes just days before the busy Memorial Day weekend.
NBC News correspondent Erin McLaughlin joins us now with the latest. She's here on set. Erin, good morning. Great to see you. So walk us through what we are hearing from officials about this deal. What do we know?
A lot of New Yorkers relieved with this deal this morning. The details of the deal at this point are unclear. They're being very tight-lipped. Remember, this needs to be ratified by the thousands of union workers still. So they don't want the news about this deal getting out into the media, people taking it the wrong way, deciding to vote it down before they can all kind of meet and go through it together. So that was sort of the reason why we don't know exactly the terms, but we do know what the parties wanted going into this. Governor Hochul was very clear. She wanted to control costs. She wanted to make sure that this deal did not result in rate hikes, did not result in increased local taxes for Long Islanders. And then, of course, the unions wanted to make sure that their railway workers were able to afford to live in Long Island, which, as we know, is a very expensive place. So how they squared that circle is unclear. Announcing this deal, we did hear from Governor Hochul make it very clear that while she was prioritizing sort of the bottom line for the state of New York, she also had the workers in mind as well. Take a listen.
Number one, protecting affordability for Long Islanders and commuters while giving fair wages to the employees. And by working and negotiating together, we haven't reached that kind of deal. Now, this contract will ensure that 3,500 Long Island Railroad employees will be paid fairly for their labor. And I want them to know this. I deeply value and respect the hard work they do. They're out there every single day making sure the job gets done. Their work is critical for the entire region, and they deserve a fair wage.
So union members, union leaders say that they believe they have reached a fair deal. They were going through it last night with a fine-tooth comb. Their economists were analyzing it, and they say that this is a good deal to present to their members.
So that begs the question for so many commuters who rely on it. What's the commute supposed to look like this morning? At what point will things return to normal?
Yeah, here's the thing. While the union's economists were combing through this deal, going through the fine print, you know, it does delay the start of that rail service. The MTA says it takes hours for the rail service to get back online. So it is still suspended this morning, even though rail workers returned to their posts at midnight last night to try to get everything back online. The thinking is by noon today, partial service will be restored, with an eye to full service being restored by the evening, which is a big deal for New Yorkers because, remember, the Knicks are in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, there is that. I think New York's paying attention.
Yeah. Aaron, thanks so much. All right, well, a former Virginia elementary school assistant principal is set to return to court today in connection with the shooting of a first-grade teacher by her 6-year-old student 3 years ago. Ebony Parker is facing several counts of neglect and child abuse. Parker was found liable last year for ignoring warnings about the child bringing a gun to school. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk has the latest.
Opening statements getting underway this morning. It took all day to seat a jury in this high-profile case. And while some of the evidence that we saw in the civil case could be presented again here, the stakes for Parker are much higher. If convicted, she could face up to 40 years behind bars. This morning, former assistant principal Ebony Parker facing felony charges in connection with the 2023 shooting of first-grade teacher Abby Zwerner by her 6-year-old student.
The presumption of innocence remains with the defendant throughout the trial.
Parker was indicted in 2024 on 8 child abuse charges, 1 for each bullet in the 9mm handgun brought into Zwerner's classroom. She pleaded not guilty. Prosecutors say Parker failed to protect the other first graders in the classroom when Zwerner was shot at Rich Neck Elementary School in Newport News, Virginia on January 6, 2023. Body camera and surveillance video shown in court captured the shocking and chaotic aftermath.
I thought I had died.
Zwerner's emotional testimony was central in a civil trial last fall, in which Parker was found liable for gross negligence, and the teacher awarded $10 million in damages.
I was convinced that there was a gun.
2 other teachers testified they warned Parker that the student was carrying a gun, but the assistant principal failed to take action. Parker did not testify in the civil trial. Her defense attorney did not respond to NBC's request for comment, but during the civil case, her lawyers argued that the shooting was unforeseeable. Zwerner was shot through her hand, the bullet lodging in her chest, but managed to get the kids out of the classroom.
I just will never forget the look on his face that he gave me while he pointed the gun directly at me.
Zwerner opened up to Savannah shortly after the shooting.
How do you even make sense of something like this?
You can't. You can't.
Abby Zwerner is expected to be in court today and prepared to testify. The case is expected to wrap up sometime this week. Back to you.
All right, Steph, thank you. We've got much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including why something called Ozempic personality is making the rounds on social media lately, an unexpected side effect of those popular weight loss drugs.
First, though, after the break, a Venezuelan migrant allegedly shot through the front door of a Minnesota home. Now the ICE agent accused of pulling the trigger facing new charges. More on the nationwide warrant for his arrest next. We're back now with the new legal action against an ICE agent in Minnesota who allegedly shot a Venezuelan immigrant.
State prosecutors say the agent, identified as Christian Castro, fired through the front door of a residence and then lied about the incident.
NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us now with more on this. Julia, good morning. So Castro is the subject now of a nationwide warrant. What is he accused of doing?
That's right. Well, he has been charged with 5 felony counts. So his first 4 are for second-degree assault with a deadly weapon, because not only did he shoot at the person through the door, but there were 3 other victims involved who were around at the time near the gunfire. And then that 5th count is perhaps why we're talking about this the most. It was because he falsified a report of a crime. And that report is what we were told in the media, that this was an incident of an ICE officer, meaning Castro, being assaulted. They talked about these immigrants, these Venezuelan immigrants who were there, who he was trying to arrest. One of them was trying to arrest. The others were friends who came out. They talked about them hitting him with a snow shovel, with a broomstick. And at the time, then Secretary Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, came out and said that this was an attempted murder. So the story that he started really spread to be the national narrative around what happened. And it was so important because this was just after the shooting of Renee Nicole Good and just before the shooting of Alex Preti. And so what he said, which is now one of the felonies that he's being charged with, was really setting a course for how the public was going to interpret what was happening in Minneapolis during this huge immigration enforcement surge.
Yeah, so you just laid out that timeline there. This happened back in January. Do we think that this means that it could open up the possibility that other ICE agents could be charged for their roles in those operations, things we don't know about yet?
This was a really unique situation, and I think it's one of the reasons why it was one of the first cases brought by the Hennepin County prosecutor. This is a state prosecutor bringing charges against a federal agent, which can be done, but it's a high bar. And so we may see other incidents. We've seen this in Chicago, where there's been a report about what happened there, and they're hoping that the Cook County prosecutor brings that up and files charges against some of the officers in Chicago that they think overstepped during the operations that happened there last fall. And a similar report is underway in Minneapolis, where they'll try to highlight incidents where they think that ICE overstepped, not just in shootings, but in things like using tear gas against protesters, against going into people's homes without warrants. These are things that they've been challenging over time. But this situation was so unique, and I think that's why the Hennepin County prosecutor focused on these charges first, because they could show that someone was hurt, that there were victims, and that there was a conscious lying that was contradicted, by the way, because of surveillance cameras. Without the footage, we may still be assuming that the officer was in the right here.
So, I mean, if Castro is convicted, could this case set a new precedent when it comes to sort of accountability with how federal law enforcement works in these types of operations? I mean, what could it mean for the future?
Well, I think it will certainly increase the call for body-worn cameras. That was something we talked a lot about in January, Joe, where there was sort of the he said, she said going back and forth on the different cameras. Remember, there was no body-worn camera at the time of the Renee Nicole Good shooting. We were able to get a little bit about what the officer was just filming with his cell phone when he approached the car. But as soon as he draws the gun, we lose that footage. And the reason, of course, that we now know that this officer was actually shooting through a door and was not the victim himself is because of surveillance video. It wasn't body-worn camera. It happened to just be surveillance video in the area that went off at the sound of a gunshot, and it triggered the recordings. And so it calls for more transparency and accountability. This is a body-worn camera policy that was put on hold by this administration, that was started under the Biden administration. So only about 25% of ICE officers have them. But it's something that we know that Mark Wayne Mullen, the new Secretary of Homeland Security, testified before Congress that he wants to expand to, he says, protect officers as well as the people they're interacting with, so that we get a really clear understanding of what happens in these situations.
Julia, have we heard from ICE on this at all?
Not so far. I mean, they definitely changed their initial response. The initial response, again, coming out from Secretary Noem at the time about the murder, they changed that later when the surveillance video came out, and they put this officer on administrative leave. But since these charges, no, we've not yet heard from them.
All right. Julia Ainsley, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Let's get to international news now, starting with the rising death toll from an Ebola outbreak in Africa, as we learn more about an American doctor who tested positive for the disease.
NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us from Rome to take us around the world in 60 seconds. Claudio, good morning.
Joe Savannah, good morning. Well, that's right. Authorities in Congo say the death toll from that recent Ebola outbreak in the east of the country has now risen to 131, and also that the number of cases has now risen to 500, including an American doctor who's tested positive to the virus. Now, in the meantime, the World Health Organization announced it's sending a team of experts to Congo after on Sunday it declared the Ebola outbreak in the country a public health emergency of international concern. Congo has announced it is also opening 3 Ebola treatment centers in the eastern Ituri province, the most affected by the virus. Let's go now to Japan, where 2 Americans were arrested at the zoo after one of them jumped into an enclosure housing Punch, a monkey who earlier this year became an internet sensation after he was cast away by other monkeys and rejected by his own mother. Images and videos posted online show a person wearing a blue suit and a smiley face mask jumping over the fence in what appeared to be a stunt to promote a cryptocurrency. Police say no monkeys were hurt during the stunt, and zoo officials said they will strengthen security around the enclosure. And let's end this tour of the world near here at the Vatican, where next Monday they will unveil a much-anticipated document with Pope Leo's thoughts and guidance on the safeguarding of humans in the age of artificial intelligence. The announcement comes days after the Vatican also announced Leo is creating a new commission that will coordinate the Catholic Church's response to AI, because the Vatican said of its potential effect on human beings and on humanity as a whole. How about that, guys? Now, divine intervention on the effects of artificial intelligence on humans. Wow.
Sounds like a movie. Like, who's going to win?
Yeah.
AI versus divine intervention.
Yeah.
Come to a theater near you. All right. Thanks, Claudia.
Thank you.
Coming up, fresh legal controversy coming out of the Lone Star State this morning.
After the break, we'll dig into the federal settlement behind the creation of a so-called detransition clinic at Texas Children's Hospital, what that might look like and what it could possibly mean for the future of gender-affirming care there. That's next. Back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with an extension of sanctions relief meant to ease oil shortages and those rising prices linked to the Iran war.
NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor joins us with that and some other headlines out of Washington. Sahil, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah and Joe. We begin today in politics with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announcing a 30-day extension of a sanctions waiver for countries so they can import Russian oil. In a social media post, Bessent says the temporary waiver is designed to give vulnerable nations the chance to access Russian oil that's currently stranded at sea in tankers. He further indicated that the goal is to ease global oil supply shortages, which were caused by the U.S. and Israel waging war on Iran. It marks a reversal after Bessent told the Associated Press last month that this waiver would not be extended. Meanwhile, in Georgia, Republican candidates are duking it out for the party's nomination today to take on Senator John Ossoff, the first-term Democrat running for re-election in the Purple State. The candidates are Congressman Mike Collins, Congressman Buddy Carter, and former football coach Derek Dooley. Voters cast their ballots in the primary today, but the specter of a June 16th runoff looms if none of these candidates crack 50%. The Republicans are also competing for Trump's affections, but he has not endorsed anybody in this race yet. Georgia's Senate seat is a must-win for Democrats and arguably the GOP's best pickup opportunity in what's shaping up to be a rough midterm election for the party. And finally, a new group that calls itself a nonpartisan watchdog for prediction markets is launching a 6-figure ad campaign here in Washington ahead of a Senate Commerce Committee hearing on the rise of gambling and betting markets. The group is called Fair Predicts and has focused some of its criticism on Kalshi and its $500,000 tab this year on lobbying Congress and the CFTC. In response, Kalshi pointed out that this group isn't disclosing its donors and said it smells like a casino-led effort. The push comes in the midst of a national debate about sports gambling and larger concerns about insider trading on these platforms. And that is a look at what's making news in politics this morning. Guys?
All right. Sahil, thank you so much. Texas Children's Hospital will now create a first-of-its-kind detransition clinic in Houston. It is part of a deeply controversial settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice and a state investigation. The move comes after a contentious 3-year legal battle over the hospital's gender-affirming care program. The hospital was accused of illegally billing insurance companies for the treatment.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton praised the agreement, saying it, quote, reflects an institutional and fundamental cultural shift away from radical gender ideology. In a statement, Texas Children's Hospital said they settled to protect its resources from, quote, endless and costly litigation. The hospital also claimed the investigation was full of falsehoods and distractions.
Amy Harmon joins us now with more on this. She is a national correspondent covering sex and gender for the New York Times. Amy, good to have you with us. First, just walk us through some more of the details of this agreement.
Thanks for having me. Basically, the hospital agreed to pay the state $10 million and to cut ties with or fire 5 of the doctors who were providing this care. It's important to note, though, that the care has been illegal in the state since 2023, so it's not been happening now. And then what's most unusual about it is that it agreed to start what is being called a detransition clinic, which would be really focused on providing care to patients who want to stop their gender transition or reverse their gender transition. And that part of the agreement is, aside from the money part, it's sort of unusual because this is not really a medical term, detransition. It is a term that's widely used to refer to people who are stopping or reversing their transition, but it's not. So it's something that is already happening at places where that provide this kind of care. So the idea that they're sort of underlining and spotlighting this idea seems to some to have kind of a political valence to it.
You mentioned that the care has not been happening in the state since 2023. Walk us through that. The investigation launched by the Texas Attorney General's office here, how we got to this settlement.
Right. So about half the states in the country have banned gender-affirming care for minors, and that happened between roughly 2021 and 2024. In Texas, in 2023, the legislature passed this ban on the care, and at the same time, the Attorney General was launching this investigation, and the accusation was that perhaps, which the hospital has not admitted to, it's important to say, the accusation was that the hospital had perhaps billed the state Medicaid plan for treatment that was not legal anymore under this 2023 law, or had sort of billed for certain types of treatment that were gender affirming care but under a different kind of code. And so again, the hospital says that that it has complied by all laws, and that this investigation has gone on for 3 years, and they've provided billions of documents, and so they're trying to just settle to kind of put that behind them.
And we should note this idea of detransitioning is pretty rare, and sometimes there's situations where someone does transition and the reason they choose to detransition is because of the discrimination they feel from their family, from their friends, from their work, and they decide that might be an easier decision than this. The state has not released a full copy of the settlement, so just what do we know about what kind of care this detransition clinic would even provide?
Yeah, it's not really clear. The hospital has said that it's going to provide the same. I mean, I think I was looking for the same supportive multidisciplinary services that they already deliver to patients who need their care. So, there's something in that statement that sort of seems to imply, look, we're already doing this. We're just going to call it something else. But I guess it's important to say also that even though it can sound like a sort of a victory for opponents of providing gender affirming care to minors, I don't think that there's anyone who supports that kind of care who is saying we don't think the people who detransition shouldn't be given that care. I mean, I think that it is considered to be a normal part for some people. Some people who choose to transition will choose will choose to go backwards or to a different type of identity. And so so the kind of care, but specifically it might be sort of supervising the tapering off of hormone therapy. If you're taking cross-sex hormones and you want to stop, then how do you do that, and what order, and what the dosage should be people could benefit from medical supervision for that, or reversing surgeries. But surgeries on minors are very rare. So, but this may be for adults who have undergone surgery who want to have reconstruction of some kind.
All right, Amy Harmon, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks.
Coming up, an unexpected side effect of those mega popular weight loss drugs like Ozempic.
When Morning News Now returns, why social media is buzzing over something called Ozempic personality. Patients shedding their lust for things that they'd once enjoyed, along with the pounds. That's next. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Since they came onto the market, tens of millions of Americans have used GLP-1 drugs to lose weight, even though we are still learning new things about how they affect us. One potential effect has been causing a lot of people to post on social media, talking about something they are calling Ozempic personality. Our NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson has more on what that could look like for GLP-1 users. Ann, good morning.
Hey there. As an increasing number of Americans use these drugs, the more we're learning about side effects, including stomach issues, so-called Ozempic face, and hair loss, to name a few. But now some people are dealing with another surprising issue.
GLP-1s are transforming the weight loss landscape, from Ozempic to Wegovy to Zepbound. 1 in 8 Americans are now taking some form of the drugs, according to a study in JAMA.
Weight loss has never looked like this.
But along with physical changes, a number of patients are reporting an unexpected side effect. Dave Knapp, father of 4, uses GLP-1s to control his type 2 diabetes and weight, shedding 53 pounds, but losing, he realized, something else.
It was about 3 years in that I really started to discover that I was really not having the same amount of pleasure or seeking the same amount of pleasure in some of the activities that I once enjoyed.
What was the first clue?
Oddly enough, baseball was the first clue. I've always been an avid baseball fan. I've been a huge Cubs fan from the time I was born. And it's just always been something that I've followed very closely. And it was a couple of years into my GLP-1 journey that I really started to realize, I haven't been following baseball at all.
The same Iowa guy who 10 years ago couldn't afford Cubs World Series tickets, but went to the ballpark anyway.
My wife and I drove to Chicago and just walked around outside Wrigley Field during the World Series. So it was an excellent time. Welcome back to On the Pen Live.
Knapp, who now hosts a podcast about GLP-1s, says that kind of enthusiasm had disappeared with his weight.
I really was motivated, in theory, to want to get into the gym more, to want to reevaluate my diet, but I was finding it just very hard to take step 1, which was not normal for me.
A problem obesity specialist, Dr. Christopher McGowan, is hearing from a growing number of patients.
So this lack of enthusiasm is not just in people's heads.
It's a little unclear how frequent it's actually occurring because this was not studied in the original clinical trials. But what patients are telling us is a general decrease in interest, in joy, or in pleasure in activities that they previously enjoyed.
This malaise, which some dub Ozempic personality, has a medical term, anhedonia, described by the Cleveland Clinic as the inability to experience joy or pleasure. So far, the reports from those using GLP-1s are all anecdotal. But given the way GLP-1s work in the brain, McGowan says it makes sense.
They target the hunger centers and the reward centers, and that's why food tastes less delicious. You have less food noise. That's how you're going to lose weight. But you can imagine that if that extends to other aspects of life, if there's less joy in other things, that could be problematic.
It can impact hobbies, socializing, even sex.
When patients come to you, what do you advise them to do?
The first thing I tell patients is report these symptoms to your medical team.
McGowan says the drug may need to be paused or the dosage lowered. He also tells his patients to look for new, fulfilling activities, especially exercise. Knapp talked to his medical team and stopped taking the drug for almost 6 weeks.
So are you back on the GLP-1s now?
I am back on Zepbound. I'm using a lower dose of Zepbound, which helps me with my blood sugar and helps to control appetite a little bit, but allows me to have the motivation to get in the gym multiple times a week for a couple of hours at a time.
And how about the Cubbies?
The Cubbies are doing great. I have really enjoyed this season. It's been a fun season.
And Dave is back in the game.
We should mention that the doctors we talked to, most of their patients are using injector pens, but they think this has more to do with the actual dosage than the device. We also reached out to both Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly, and while not addressing the issue specifically, both said they are concerned with patient safety. And Lilly suggested if you have any issues, talk to your medical provider. Back to you.
All right, Ann, thank you.
This morning, we are getting a firsthand look at the long-awaited Trump Mobile. The Trump family took orders for the phone last summer, saying it would be released last August. Now, about 9 months later, business and data correspondent Brian Chung finally received the phone that was promised to be American-made. Here's what he learned.
Gold casing, a flag stamped on the back. This long-awaited T1 phone from Trump Mobile is finally here. It was in June last year that the president's sons announced a bold new venture.
Today, we're here to introduce Trump Mobile.
The phone marketed as a patriotic alternative to big tech and promised as an American-made phone.
We're keeping our data onshore. We're going to be manufacturing the phones.
Trump Mobile said the phone would be released in August. NBC News put down the $100 deposit that same month.
Thank you for your order, Brian Chung.
But 9 months passed with 12 phone calls and countless emails to the company. But one day after this report last week,
here we are in May of 2026, and there appears to be no sign of it.
Someone on behalf of Trump Mobile contacted me and said devices were going out to the media.
And, okay, here it is. Here is the long-awaited Trump Mobile phone.
The phone is taller than an iPhone 17 and comes with 512 gigabytes of storage at a relatively cheap $499, which the company says is promotional pricing.
Truth Social. Pre-installed on the phone.
Like any other phone, it can make calls, send texts,
do some wide angles,
and takes pretty good photos too. The phone looks different from how it was originally advertised. The original language on the website said the phone would be made in the USA, language that has since been scrubbed from the website, now saying American Proud Design, with an American flag that has only 11 stripes. Experts say the phone resembles a phone made in Taiwan.
It looks very similar. It has a very distinct shape.
Yeah, that does look really similar.
Almost identical so far. We're not set up for a mid-range, kind of mid-budget phone to be made in that way here in the United States. If I had to put money on it, I would say that's the HTC U24 Pro.
Representatives for Trump Mobile did not respond to questions about whether the phone is made in the U.S., and the White House did not confirm if President Trump himself is using the phone bearing his name.
Our thanks to Brian for that report. NBC News has reached out to HTC but have not received a response. Now, the Trump Mobile box says assembled in the USA. That is different from made in the USA. It all comes down to where the materials are from and how much of its production takes place here. According to the FTC, made in the USA requires all or virtually all parts to be sourced, manufactured, and assembled in the United States. Assembled in the USA means final assembly took place in the U.S., even though its parts may not be from here. We've got more money news now. PlayStation gamers are about to pay a little more to play online. NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch has our Money Minute. Hey, Emily.
Hey, Savannah. So that is for new customers here in the U.S. who want a subscription for PlayStation Plus. A 1-month plan is going up $1 to $10.99, and the 3-month is going up $3 to $27.99. PlayStation announcing the changes in a post on X, saying they're because of, quote, ongoing market conditions. Parent company Sony had already unveiled a slew of new price points that took effect last month. The new PlayStation rates don't start until tomorrow, though, so if anyone wants to lock in the current price, they'd have to do that today. And another Wall Street giant is betting big on the AI race. The investment firm Blackstone is putting up $5 billion, partnering with Google to launch a new endeavor in an effort to meet surging demand for AI computing power. The companies say it will give businesses access to Google's custom chips, with plans to have 500 megawatts of data center capacity next year and even more in the future. Meanwhile, Starbucks is also making a bet. that Americans' love for the rabbit Miffy from Dutch children's books will translate into more sales. The coffee giant's launching new limited edition items, part of a collaboration with the popular character that includes tumblers, bags, and of course, Miffy herself in the form of a plush toy, and she's dressed up in her Starbucks apron. Starbucks has seen massive success with limited time offers in the past, with, for example, the Barista Cup that went viral and quickly sold out last year. So, Savannah, we'll just wait and have to see if, Miffy really is as adored as Starbucks seems to be betting she is.
Yeah, very true. I can't wait to see. All right. Thanks so much, Emily.
Restaurant industry tries to attract customers. Some popular chains are serving up a trip down memory lane as a way to get people in the door. Pizza Hut is just one of those restaurants starting to look more like a museum. For example, at their Pizza Hut Classic locations, they're bringing back those checkered tablecloths and iconic red cups, hoping that a side dish of nostalgia will lure in consumers.
At a time when the world seems to be spinning fast toward the future,
we found a Pizza Hut here in Donaldson with a Pizza Hut buffet.
Pizza Hut is dishing up a slice of the past.
That make you feel like a kid again.
Pizza Hut classics are making a return. One franchise owner is reportedly converting 38 locations, bringing them back to the family restaurant that 90s lovers remember. From the salad bar to the red checkered tablecloths, matching Tiffany-style lights, even those ruby red cups, people are flocking to get a serving of nostalgia.
Some of our classic restaurants are among our best performers.
Pizza Hut CEO Aaron Powell says the company plans to ride the trend and bring back other popular favorites.
I was a child of the 90s, okay? Book It hated to see me coming.
Like the beloved Book It summer program. Kids can set reading goals to earn a free personal pie. The Hut's also revamping its famous pan pizza.
So what can customers expect moving forward?
Customers can expect from us a real focus on the experience. So partnering with franchisees, having different types of restaurant formats, embracing our icons, and making sure we have great overall experiences.
The popular chain is just the most recent in a long list of other brands cooking up nostalgia in the kitchen. Last year, Taco Bell launched a decades Y2K menu featuring iconic menu items. Burger King leaning into its history.
There was a time when Burger King was king.
And to mark 80 years in the business, Chick-fil-A launched its Nostalgia campaign featuring retro packaging and highlighting timeless favorites all year. Right now, customers are facing immense price pressures. A recent report finding 2/3 of consumers have shaky personal finances. But data shows that nostalgia-driven marketing can boost purchase intent by as much as 50%, a marketing strategy that experts say is working.
You have to get people excited about coming back in, and this is one way to do it.
And if you want to try out those old school restaurants for yourself, there are currently 155 classic Pizza Hut locations around the country.
All right, coming up, we've got a feel-good story for you on this Tuesday that shows it's never too late for a second chance. When we come back, we'll introduce you to the World War II veteran who's heading back to high school for the dance he never made it to. That's next on Morning News Now. We end this hour with a feel-good story outside of Chicago, where a World War II veteran just got to check something off of his bucket list 80 years later, his very first prom. It is all thanks to a group of student volunteers at his senior home. NBC reporter Regina Waldrop from our NBC station in Chicago has more on his night to remember.
Don't that look beautiful? For this special evening, Grace Vanova had not one, but 6 dates. The World War II veteran is at his first prom, more than 80 years after high school, at 100 years old. I've had surprises, and not like
this. They put a lot of work into this. It was a project that was made purely by passion.
We've known Ray for a couple of months now, as we've been volunteering at Independence Village, and we've been helping the seniors with their technology. And Ray was one of the most outgoing, most sociable people that we met. He started talking to us right when we came in, and he's just I feel like he really deserves this.
I got my diploma in the service, but I never had a prom.
We got 2 more songs for Ray. Stay right there. We got
got 2 more songs.
It's amazing. He got a fresh haircut. He is donning flowers that were donated.
Just blessed to have them understand the importance of doing something small like this.
You heard a lot of bad things about teenagers. Well, here's the good things about them.
But if you don't care a feather.
I can't. It's so cute. Our thanks to Regina Waldrop for that sweet story. Get this, several local Chicago businesses donated everything to make this night great. The tuxedo, the flowers, the ride to prom. That's going to make sure Ray will not forget that night anytime soon. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but the news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.